everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I produced a new video, so I'm hoping you're ready for a new project. It's been the summer of puppets for me. I have discovered puppetnerd.com, and I've always loved puppets. I grew up on Sesame Street and The Muppet Show and that sort of thing. And as you know, I really got into mass in the spring because of a theater company that hired me to put together a Commedia dell'arte mass. And now I really wanted to get into sewing more and more. I did a lot of fiber art in school, and I think my students really respond well to working with their hands a lot more than this drawing. So I try to have as much three-dimensional stuff. If you're new to the channel, I'm an art teacher for middle school and high school, so today I'd like to have a brand new idea for a project, especially for grades 7 and 8, and it can be as complicated or as simple as you make it. So I'm going to show you how to make a simple hand puppet today, and I have an example right here. I have two cameras going, so I'm going to do a little picture-in-picture. So this character right here. So I love character. My background is drama as well and theater. So I love putting together my own character development, especially with drawing and drawing cartoons. But this is a great opportunity for your students to do not just drawing in terms of creating character, but three-dimensional form. So there's nothing more character than a funny monster puppet that they potentially grew up with. So it has its own little arm rod, so it can have some expression, and obviously the mouth opens up. And my second example is a little bit more complicated, and this one's plush. I've stuffed it. This one is for a really good friend of mine who's having a child. So this one is a plush one. So as you can see, it is stuffed like a stuffed animal, so it gives it three-dimensional form. All of this stuff you can find at your dollar store. I bought some of this felt on Amazon, but I've discovered that the stuff at the dollar store is just as good, and it's a fraction of the cost. So if you have a small budget for your art room, the dollar store's craft section or aisle is a great place to buy all your materials. So funny hair, ping pong balls for the eyes, and a variety of other things that I'll get into at the end of the build. So the fun part is you can go to a place called puppetnerd.com, like I said, and he has a lot of free patterns that you could download for your class and print them out in real scale for your students. So the you need two patterns for these simple puppets. So the main body and the mouth plate, which is right here, simple oval, okay? And you could do it in a variety of ways. Obviously, if you have sewing machines in your classroom, you can use it. Sewing machine with fake fur, a little bit more difficult, but it is definitely possible. And the rest can be hand sewn, but also it can be just hot glue. Okay, hot glue and felt work really well together. So after that, you just need maybe some pins and a good pair of fabric scissors. Okay, the felt is not so hard to cut, but fabric scissors definitely make it easier to cut than regular paper scissors. So first step, pick your colors. Have as nice variety for your students, or it could be scrap material, anything you find around the house. You could use anything you like. I just had a big, whole bunch of bins donated to my classroom by my director, who was cleaning out her basement, so scraps of material really work well for this too. So what I did to make it easier, you need two of these, okay? But what I did was I folded my material in half, right here, put it down on the fabric, took a Sharpie pen, and traced it. No need for pins either, okay? After that, don't cut the fold, okay? So you need to have it fold up in double, okay? So it saves on the sewing or the hot gluing around the edge. So just as simple as this, cut through 2 layers of material. It's so simple that I'm actually doing this in almost real time. I might speed up the video a little bit, but you could definitely get this done in 1, maybe 2 classes if you are pressed for time or if you don't see your group that often. I actually like doing shorter projects because I only see my class twice a week, which is quite a bit of time, but it's for a full hour. So this project is probably 2 hours, maybe 3 if you have to deal with elementary school that needs a lot more help. So cut out the mouth. And as a teacher, take your time. Do these projects, okay? Have a lot of examples for your class. So they have lots and lots of visuals, okay? Because it is just your imagination. I find our students are lacking a little bit in their imagination because they're raised on video games and TV. And it's not the same TV as we grew up with, I'll tell you that much. So I love getting back into some basic imagination and character. So they have lots to play with. Okay, as you can see, double. Okay, so fold it over, sort of good side to good side, or bad side to bad side. I cut on the inside of my line so I don't have a lot of markers, mark with your Sharpie. Okay, so you don't have that when you are doing it. Second bit is the face plate, or the mouth plate, I should say. So the inside of the mouth. A lot of the times you could use black, a different contrasting color, maybe to spruce up the puppet, give it a little bit more character, a lot more jazzy, a lot more fun. Sort of like my character right here. Okay, so I just got this from the dollar store. Okay, I had a little bow and some ribbon, and then after that, you can make hands for your puppet if you like. Obviously the arms are optional. There's a lot of hand puppets that don't have arms or legs, so if you're working with much younger kids that need something a little bit more simple, lots of options. So put this down. I traced it ahead of time to speed up the process a little bit, and you cut out the faceplate. Make sure you mark center lines right here. I put little tiny dashes for center lines so that you're going to line this up inside the mouth quite easily. Fake fur, a lot more expensive, but it is quite fun if you could find cheap varieties of it. And a little tip and trick, fake fur covers up mistakes really easily. This felt glues really well, but if you have a lot of younger students that are not quite advanced, they're going to see a lot of their mistakes, which is perfectly fine, obviously. They've only done it once or twice. But the fake fur, I find actually looks really good. And if you're using hot glue that you can't get off, and you can't start over a lot of the times, the fake fur covers up a lot of mistakes. So a little tip and trick right there. The sewing technique, if you do want to hand sew your puppet shut, sew along this seam and then sew along this bottom seam. It's a great practice for some hand sewing techniques for your students, but it's a lot slower. This particular puppet, I hand sewed all their seams. It took a couple of hours. And obviously, if you have students that are quite young, not very advanced, short attention spans, go for the hot glue. It works quite well. But if you have older students, say grade 9, 10, and 11, they should learn how to sew, in my opinion. So it's a good opportunity. Okay, so do not hot glue the mouth shut, okay? You just have to hot glue the head and the side of the body, okay? So I'm going to do that. Your patterns aside. Your hot glue all ready. Do a little bit at a time. Place it down. So it's sort of like good side to good side, and you sandwich. Down, don't burn yourself. And this craft felt glues really well, and it's almost like a permanent seam. And you can get this done with very little time. Okay, and especially because we cut it out double. I didn't do that when I was originally doing my other puppet, and I had to do 2 seams. So it was quite a long process. It took me most of the afternoon just to get going. So just the top of the head, down, make sure everything lines up really nicely. Okay, so this is the inside. You're going to flip this inside out when we're finished. So the next step is to install the mouth plate. That's the hardest part of this puppet, definitely, is getting the mouth plate in nicely. So you can use some pins maybe to keep it in place, but because we're using hot glue, it'll be a little bit harder. So if you want to do a little half-half, hand sewing or hand sewing and hot glue, this is a good opportunity to do that. Okay, and when you're creating your own patterns, okay, it might not be perfect. So be prepared for that, and be prepared to maybe make some adjustments. I have a feeling that this mouth plate might be a tiny bit too big, but we're going to find out in a minute. So I would tack the top, and then the bottom, and the left and the right first, and then go all the way around. And this is a plush or funny monster puppet. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It sometimes is fun for its character to be a little bit off. So keep that in mind when you're building these things. So then I'm going to do the left and the right first. Right here. This is the point where you might have to help out some of your students. If you have a teacher assistant or some older students to help out the younger students, that's a good time for them to come in to get this part done. And then you tuck it in. It's on the inside of the seam. So this is where the little tiny dash marks really come into play. I have a dash mark here and a dash mark there, and you line them up. And I'm going to do another shout out to puppetnerd.com. He has dozens of videos, and they're really good. They're good videos, and he always says, download his free stuff first before you start buying. It's worth it. A lot of his free stuff can be, once you have a little bit of practice, you can advance it a little bit. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you my more advanced puppet that I did. As I said, I have devoted my summer vacation to puppet building, which has been a lot of fun. He also has a mouth plate. I'll explain to you what that is in a minute, which makes the mouth stronger and straight, but not necessary, especially for just a plush velvet DIY, hand puppet. Okay, after that, push your felt on the inside. If you have a little extra like this, that's the opportunity for you to make adjustments. Like this mouth plate, a little bit too big. I kept it that way so it does either squish inside, okay, or you could just trim it. So do a few centimeters at a time. Don't burn your fingers. Stretch it out. This is where your dexterity for your art projects come in. This is great for your kids. Great for your students to learn. I have kids that have never wrapped a present, don't know how to use tape very well. So these three-dimensional projects are fabulous for them. Okay, bottom side. I'm going to flip this over and do the other side. Push it inside. It should fit a little bit big because the mouth plate should go, inside the mouth, obviously. So don't worry about sizes. As I said, I'm getting this done in almost real time. And I've done this a couple of times before, so obviously I'm going a lot faster than your students that probably need some help. But if I could get this done in about 20 minutes, I did cut these things ahead of time. So it shouldn't be that much of a hassle for your 12, 13-year-olds. So just use your fingers and your thumbs, stretch it out a little bit, and it should be pretty good. If you're really neat with the hot glue, you don't see much once I turn this upside down, or inside out, I should say. Just a little tab here and there. Okay, so one more quarter. This is going to turn out okay. So overlap it, line it up, and just squish. And it glues instantly and dries off pretty instantly too. Hot glue can be fantastic. Gets in your fingers a little bit, but okay. So this should look like this. Okay, and once you're confident that it is dry, turn it inside out. So the seams and overlap are really nice and neat. And use your fingers to push it back out. And if you miss one or two spots, it's not a big deal. You just turn it inside out again. So this is a really good start to a really good puppet. So as I said, the mouth plate. So, right, fantastic little hand puppet. Really nice seam. So this is basically the same thing as this, but I stuffed it. So for this one, I did everything in double, okay? I made an envelope on the inside. I did 2 of these, put another one inside, and then put stuffing in between, okay? Not necessary, obviously, for a simple craft DIY puppet. But if you have an advanced class, like a good grade 12 maybe, that'll be great for them. So now, after you got the simple hand gesture and the hand puppet ready, decorating, okay? I use ping pong balls for eyes. The eyeballs, or the irises, that's just Velcro circles with a sticky backing. And put it right on. I solidified it with hot glue again, so it sticks to the the ping pong ball really well. I even did eyelids, okay, out of felt. I just draped it on top, hot glued it down, maybe cut a little bit, the extra. This funny hair I just found in the craft section of the dollar store. And if you want hands, you can get this, puppetnerd.com. Very, very simple pattern. You can make your own. What I thought would be, it's summer here in Montreal, so I can't get one of the, those cheap fleece gloves that you get your elementary school kid. I thought you could use that instead of cutting out a pattern. Because these were a little bit finicky because the fingers are so small, but very, very doable. This is really good for hand stitching with a needle and thread, and then flipping it inside out or right side up. That's the hard part. You need to use a pencil and that sort of thing. And these are stuffed. What I use for the stuffing is just this pillow stuffing, okay, that you can get at any fabric store. Not very expensive. On puppetnerd.com, they use a lot of foams. Very expensive. I find it's bad for the environment as well. And it'll blow up your budget, I'm certain, for a lot of art schools. So I find using stuff like this, or not stuffing it at all, is quite good. Also, what I've seen is sock puppets. Great opportunity. So ping pong balls on the top for the eyes. You could create eyelashes out of crafts, papers and that sort of thing. So lots and lots of options. So thank you very much for tuning in. Think about this as a project for your middle school or even high school this fall, and take the time this summer, create a couple of characters for your students. You will not regret it, and they'll have a ball. So be safe, keep creating, and thanks for tuning in.